Hello, and welcome to day 4. I think I'm looking worse as the week goes on. um, it's been a busy day today. I've been doing lots of work. Yeah, that sounds awful, doesn't it? Yeah, I do lots of work most of the time, but today, I think it's been a bit a bit more thinking work, which links in very nicely to what I said I was going to talk about tonight. Um, So I shall just give it a few minutes and see if anybody's on there, if anybody's just watching, or if anybody's going to comment. And yeah, as always, just a bit of a heads up that it's not confidential. This is in my open page. She says as she checks that she is in her open page. And just a quick question, really, if um, anything's come up for anybody, if anybody's got any questions about what I've been talking about for the past 3 days. Um, the three principles overarches everything that I do. So I just felt like I needed to do. Hi, Marina. A bit of a disclaimer, really, that I'm going to be talking about overthinking and mindfulness. I think I said that I was going to do a bit on. Hi, Paula. On gratitude and intent as well, which they all kind of link in together. But the overarching thing that is over everything for me is the three principles that our thoughts create our reality 100% of the time. Hi, Susan. So just bear that in mind. I will have you noticed my sign? I put my sign up, be curious, useful stops. Just be curious. When we talk about overthinking, yeah, I think that I'm an overthinker. I think I'm an overthinker. Hi, Gemma, which is quite interesting. But is that just my internal dialogue and the story that I tell myself? Because I'm no more likely to overthink than the next person. We all have the capacity to overthink, and we all overthink at certain times. Does that mean that I'm an overthinker? Same as, this is a week all around anxiety. We all have periods where we feel anxious. So does that mean I'm more likely to be anxious than anybody else, or that I'm an anxious person, or that I just get anxious at times? And those are the kind of things that I would like for you to just explore and be curious about while we're talking about overthinking. One of the things that we often do as human beings is that we try to think our way out of thinking, which is a ridiculous thing to do. But that's what we do. When we get, often with the three principles, we talk about getting caught up in a thought storm. That if something happens, if we've been triggered, that we just go into a thought storm. It's that thought on top of thought on top of thought on top of thought on top of thought. And when we're in that thought storm, often what we try to do is to think our way out of it, which is just doing more of the same stuff. But once we kind of accept how being a human being works, we don't need to do that anymore. We kind of understand that all we're doing is overthinking. And if we can step away from that overthinking part and just be curious about the thoughts that we're having. So I'm doing this as if it's a separate thing. And literally, that's what I would like for you to be able to do, is to think, right, I'm in the middle of I always say shitstorm, and I shouldn't say that because it's a thought storm, but I'm in the middle of this thought storm that's going on. And what I need to do is to just take a step back and look at that thought storm. What is it achieving? What am I hoping to do by thinking my way out of this thought storm? Instead of just accepting that I'm in one and letting it do its thing, knowing, and I mean truly knowing, that it will calm down and I'll be okay again. Annika, hi, interesting topic tonight. Doesn't the idea of three principles say that we should release the thoughts and let the mind to guide us? Yes, it does. But it's about understanding that universal mind isn't isn't the thought. I think a lot. Maybe this is just me that I get mixed up with this. The brain and the mind are completely different things. Universal mind is not connected with the brain at all. The universal mind is the all being thing. And yes, that is exactly what we need to do. We need to let the thoughts come and go. The thoughts are transient, they just pass through us. But what often happens is that we'll catch a thought, we'll notice a thought, usually a negative one or something that means something to us, and then we bring it to life. And that's what the overthinking part is, because we then give it energy and expand on it and explore it and poke it around a bit. Whereas if we allow universal mind to just guide us, then we don't tend to do that. But it's quite deep. It's about having insight, and when you have an aha moment, things just click. And for me, I've had insights, and I thought, God, that made so much sense. And then 5 minutes later, I've forgotten what it was. So it's about noticing the feeling when something feels right. The three principles, sorry, talks about having an inner sat nav and an inner knowing and an inner wisdom. But we can only hear that when our mind is quiet, when we're not overthinking. I'm not sure whether I've mentioned this because I've done a lot of videos and talks lately. It's kind of like an orchestra playing and trying to pick out an individual instrument in it. We can't hear the flute playing when everything else is going. So we need to just let things quieten down so that we can hear that inner wisdom. It's always there. We're born with it, and we don't lose it, but we can lose sight of it. I was trying to look for it before I came on. There's a brilliant like folk tale about a lot of gods. Like, I don't know, Buddhists have tales and things like that about all these gods sitting around a fire, and they're deciding where they're going to hide inner wisdom. Where can they put it so that humans can't find it? And it's kind of like, one, that's not very fair. So one of the gods says, I know, I'll fly up into the sky and I'll put it up with the stars and they'll never find it there. And all the other ones kind of go, no, that's no good. They'll build a rocket, they'll find it. So another god says, I know, I shall dive down into the deepest depths of the ocean and I will hide it there. And they all go, no, that's no good. They'll find that. Eventually they'll explore and they'll find it. So somebody else says that they'll put it in the Sahara Desert in amongst all the sand and they'll never find it there. And anyway, they go through all of this stuff. And then one of them says, I know where we'll put it. We'll put it deep inside them and they'll never find it there. And that just really resonated with me. And that's kind of what the three principles is all about, is that we have everything that we need inside us. It's just that we're not aware of it. So when we're in an overthinking state, or when we're not in a good place, whether that's anxiety or stress, we're constantly looking outside for something to make us feel better. Whereas when we truly know that actually I have everything that I need, we're not looking to fix ourselves. Thank you, Susan. I don't know what the thing is. If I find it, I'll post it in afterwards. We're not looking for somebody to fix us. We're not looking for something that we need to do. We're not looking for a magic pill. It's kind of like it's in us. We've just got to let things settle enough so that we accept that and understand it. So the overthinking part, again, I'm going to talk a little bit about transactional analysis, so I might flippity flop around a bit. There was a chap called Richard Erskine that did something that I refer to quite a bit, called the 4 domains of the self, which is all about being a whole human being and having a healthy, robust self-esteem, which isn't the same as confidence. Self-esteem is that inner wellness, inner well-being, where everything is just so. Um, and it's kind of like, I think of it as a bar graph going up. So there's thinking, feeling, behavior, and physiological. Which physiological is just what's going on in our body. Um, yeah, if our pulse is going fast or tingling, or just being aware of changes in our body. So to have a robust self-esteem and to be resilient against what life throws at us, and have a, you know, a healthy well-being, each one of those should be quite level. So it should be like a bar chart where they're all the same. So thinking, feeling, behavior, and physiological. What happens with a lot of us is that we have a preference to one or two of them. So for me, thinking is quite high. I do a lot of thinking. I do try to think myself out of overthinking. The other thing that is quite high for me is behaviour. Um, because I do a lot of things. When I'm stressed and overwhelmed, I think a lot, but I also do things. My behaviour is quite, I don't want to say erratic, because I think that's a bit of a strong word, but I do lots of things when I'm stressed. I redecorate, I move furniture, I clean an awful. You know, my family know that I'm a bit stressed when I'm cleaning all the time. So my behaviour and my thinking are my go-to ones when I'm feeling stressed and overwhelmed. Somebody else might be more feely and in touch with their emotions and express it a lot and be very aware of what's going on in the body. Often people that suffer from anxiety and those sort of things notice every little change that's going on. So they're feeling and physiological. Hi Kirsty, it's fine darling, don't worry about being late, you can catch up. So their physiological and their feeling bits, their bars might be up and their thinking and behaviour might be quite low. So it's about just understanding what are my go-to things, what's my default when I'm stressed and overwhelmed. Am I a thinker? Do I think and do things? Or am I more of a feeling person and get quite emotional and notice the changes that are going on? And it's about acceptance versus resistance. Once we know what we do, then it's about not beating ourselves up over it. It's about accepting, okay, that's what I do. I I have lots of thoughts, I overthink a lot, and I do stuff to avoid a feeling. That's just who I am. And I think the more we accept it and are aware of it, the less we worry, because it's kind of like, oh, I'm just doing my process again. This is just how I get through the curveballs that life throws at me. But I'll come out the other end and I'll be a bit more level-headed. So I'm not sure whether that kind of makes sense. There is no magic pill for overthinking, and I'm sorry about that. if there was something I could say to you, right, do this, this, and this, and this, then you won't overthink anymore. That would be brilliant. But if you're a thinker, there will be times where you overthink. That's how it works. Going on. Hi Zoe, I'm struggling at the moment with anxiety. Never been diagnosed, but it's affecting my ability to walk. So much so I had to go to hospital yesterday. Oh Zoe, God, I'm so sorry. And diagnosed with muscular damage of the calves. My anxiety was out of the roof yesterday, having to go to hospital on my own. I feel like I cannot walk sometimes. I know it sounds very strange, but nobody else seems to understand. It doesn't matter if anybody else understands, Zoe. If that's what's going on for you, then trying to explain it or anything isn't going to help. There's a brilliant bloke called Bill Petit who is I think he's a psychiatrist in America that does a lot of stuff with the three principles around disease, but he kind of splits it up as in dis-ease. And when we're not at ease in a mental health capacity, our body does the weirdest things to let us know that things are off kilter, as in dis-ease. You know, so Zoe, I hope you got some answers and something to kind of help you out yesterday. I can message you later on and we can have a chat, sweetheart. Um, you're a really active person. You do a lot of walking, so to feel like you can't walk and to be diagnosed with muscle damage, that's that's quite impactful for you. But yeah, I don't want to talk too much on it because it's an open page. But I will message you once I've finished and we can have a chat. Petal. So yeah, you know, our body does weird things that are connected with our thoughts and our mental health. Um, just to let us know that we're off kilter. No one gets it unless they experience it. Exactly. I try to explain it to people, family members, just look at me in a weird way. Yeah. And I think it's important to acknowledge that how we experience anxiety is unique to us. We all have our weird little quirks. And when I say weird, I don't mean that in a judgmental way, but we all have our own perceptions and feelings and thoughts around anxiety. Yeah, hang in there, Zoe. So to try and explain it to somebody else, one, often we can't find the words because there's a lot of feeling in there, and two, it's trying to get what's in our head into somebody else's head, but they're going to have their own filters, particularly if they have anxiety as well. I know this is a conversation I had with my sister, um, around not presuming that other people's anxiety is the same as hers. I think when we have anxiety, often we Google it, we research it, we find out lots of information about anxiety, and we have a lot of the symptoms, but we experience them through our own eyes. It's our reality, how we experience them, and our bodies, as well as being fantastic things, can throw up the most ridiculous things that we do or that happens. My son, again, my eldest, he has struggled with mental health at times. He was probably, I think he was about 5 or 6, and something had happened. And I never thought of him as being an anxious kid, but looking back, I think there were points where certain things were happening that, had I known then what I know now, would have highlighted certain things. And he used to windsuck, which, if any of you have horses, Gemma, you've got a picture of 2 horses. I don't know whether that's just random or whether you have horses, but sometimes horses do something called windsuck, where they put the head out the stable and they kind of just go, and I don't know whether it's a behaviour thing or whatever it is, but my eldest used to windsuck, and I actually took him to the doctors because it was so strange. He would just breathe normally, and then all of a sudden he would just go and kind of breathe in, and I think that was kind of a stress thing for him. So yeah, we do find ways that are gonna. Oh, you have 2 fell ponies. I used to have ponies. I used to have Black Jack. He was a little shit. Gemma, I think with mental health awareness now at the forefront, things should change for the better. I bloody hope so. It affects a lot of people in many different ways. It does. We're all unique and individual, and it impacts on us different. But as I said, the 3 principles is like an overarching thing. And if we understand that at times life will be crap, but we will get through it, and getting support, and when I say getting support, it's about having somebody along with us on that journey. It's not about looking for somebody to fix us, to make it better, to take it away, because that's not going to happen. But sometimes it's about just having people that understand, that are positive thinking, is important. Zoe, over 40 years I started, no one knew what was going on. I was just cases moody, or she's in a mood again. I heard a lot. Don't worry, it can be controlled. Yeah. I've just got a thing about control. Certain things just trigger me. When we try to control something, to me there's resistance there, and it's about, and I know how hard this is, but it's about accepting it, and sometimes just sitting in that uncomfortable place, knowing that it will pass. And it's that truly knowing, looking for that thing that's hidden deep inside us that they didn't take to the moon or put in the ocean or whatever. When we truly understand that this is just part of being a human being, our anxiety is not out to get us. Our anxiety is trying to protect us. Our behaviour, our stress and all those things, we're doing it for the best of intention. And one of the things I sometimes say is, you're in the here and now. Yeah. What would your future you say to the you here today? What do you think your future you would say to you? I know what mine would say, because a lot of my fears are around what people think, and I can't do that because of all those sort of things. My future self would just say to me, "Oh, for Christ's sake, just do it. What's the worst that can happen?" That's kind of what my future self would be saying to me now. You're wasting time. Just get out there and do it. So sometimes it's about just looking outside for things that are an insight for you, that's going to help you. Mindfulness. I'm going to go on to mindfulness now, because mindfulness for me is just amazing. I kind of got introduced to mindfulness probably about 5 or 6 years ago. It's not meditation, so to speak, and it's not clearing your mind. It's about focusing non-judgmentally with intent on something. And it's been proven with MRI scans and everything that it reduces the size of the amygdala, which is a fight and flight. Future self would say, get a grip. She's a bit harsh, your future self, Zoe. There's something about being a bit compassionate there, darling. 40 years ago, if I knew then, my life would have been so different. Yeah. And again, it's not being judgmental. It's just about, putting things into a certain amount of perspective. And when we feel lost and stuck in a place, our future self, one, would probably give us a helping hand and be with us, and compassionate. But it's kind of like looking at it through different eyes. There's a lot of NLP techniques about imagining being in the place that we want to be, and truly 100% having the feelings, really connecting with the senses. If I said, I don't know, I wanted to be a size 8, never been a size 8, I was born a size bloody 12, but I wanted to be healthy and a size 8, then I would go in my head to being a size 8 and being healthy and having achieved everything that I want to do, and really connect with that. How do my clothes feel on my body as a size 8? What am I seeing? How are things changing? You really absorb yourself in that, and you're looking out through that place, and then you ground that feeling. And it's about, the power of the mind. Our mind is a very powerful thing if we harness it and if we use it to our advantage. I'm not sure where I was going then, but yes, it's not about being critical. What our future self would say to us, I'd like to think that they'd be quite supportive of us. Yeah, mine would say, stop overthinking everything. Sometimes things are out of your control and you have to go with the flow. Don't worry over things you can't control. Yeah. See, that's quite nice. That's not berating you. It's not quite as harsh as what Zoe's is, bless her heart, telling her to get a grip. And you're absolutely right. There's so much that happens that we cannot control. We think we need to control it. That's part of it, is that if I can control my environment, then I feel safe, and nothing's going to shock me or catch me out or get me unawares. But the reality is, just look at Corona and where we are now. We're not in control of anything. So mindfulness is about being in the here and now, non-judgmentally. So it's kind of like a lot, especially when we're overthinking, we're either in the past thinking, last time this happened, last time I did this, I made a right bloody fool of myself and I felt so bad after it or whatever, or we're predicting the future. So mindfulness is literally being in the here and now, in this moment. So while you're sat here listening to me in this moment, are you okay? You might have aches and pains in your body, but you're here, you're breathing, and you are okay. I find mindfulness so difficult. Is it something that you have to practice as my mind just keeps my mind is never empty. My mind is constantly, going off. I've just noticed the sign on the wall. Yeah, I told you I'd change it. Be curious, a useful stops. Mindfulness. If you're practicing mindfulness, just sit it. Are you? If you're sat down, if you're led on the bed, wherever you happen to be now, just take a breath. Just take a big breath in and a big breath out, and just notice if you're sat in the chair, can you feel the chair on your back and on your bum? And can you feel anything underneath your feet? Can you feel the clothes that you're wearing on you? Do you feel warm or cold? Can you hear anything? Just listen for something in the distance if you can hear anything, and really focus on it. And as I'm talking, you will be having thoughts about what I'm saying. You might sit there and just think, oh, my belly's rumbling, I'm a bit hungry. But it's about just notice the thought and let it go, and then get back into focus again. And then you might hear the dog barking. It's that bloody neighbour's dog really gets on my was. Just notice the thought and let it go. So it's not about clearing your mind, Marina, and not thinking about anything and kind of and that business. If you can do that, bloody brilliant. I've never been able to do it. But just notice the thought and let it go. Just notice the thought and let it go. But it's about really focusing on, I find it easier if I use my senses. What can I hear? What can I see? What can I smell? And focus on it. You can use mindfulness at any time. You can be stood at a bus stop and just see what you can see, notice things. If you can smell something. With my little 2-year-old grandson, I do something where we go for a rainbow walk, and he's learning his colours. So he has to find something that's green and something that's red and something that's blue. It's usually rubbish that somebody's thrown on the floor that he picks up. But have a focus to what you're doing. If I go for a walk, which is good, it's exercise, we should all do it, I'm constantly thinking of either what I've just done or what I need to go back to do. I've got washing up that I need to do. I've not done this. I've got ironing. I need to prepare for tomorrow. My thoughts are just constantly going on. That's not being mindful on a walk. It's about enjoying the moment. So noticing what I can see, what I can smell, that, did my trainers on my feet, how do they feel? Is my back hurt? It just really zoning in on the here and now, not the future and not the past. And it does take practice, but the more we can do that on a daily basis, then when we are stressed or feeling anxious, we can kind of click into it a lot quicker and just take that breath. A lot of people practice mindfulness focusing on the breath. There's things called breath works that you can do. That there's courses, you can Google them. I've not practiced it, so I couldn't tell you how to do it. There's a funny bloke that does things that my son's always telling me I need to do, where he goes into freezing cold water and goes and breathes really fast. I know that I'd hyperventilate and go dizzy, but evidently that's what you're supposed to do. I'm not so sure about that one. So there's loads of books around mindfulness, but it's been proven with MRI scans that it reduces the amygdala, which is the fight and flight reflex, and it thickens the frontal cortex. So it can actually change the makeup of our brain. Stress has a negative impact on us physically. All the releasing hormones can affect our digestion, and it can give us headaches and raise our blood pressure, and it can do all of these things. Mindfulness kind of can get us back to balance again. And it's an age-old practice. It's been around for a long, long time. Enjoying the simple things in life has been lost in modern day. yeah, we're very busy. We need to be busy all the time. Wim Hof method legend. Guess who's online? I'd like to introduce you all to my son, Carl. Yeah, he's called Wim Hof. He jumps in freezing cold lakes and everything, and my son keeps trying to tell me that you should do that, Mum. It's really good for you. Not at my age, it would probably be a heart attack. Um, but yeah, mindfulness. I think breath work is based on the 7-4-8 principle. Inhale for 7, hold for 4, then exhale for 8 from the abdomen. That sounds like it's a feasible thing. Wim Hof breathing. We do it, it's great. Oh, Paula, Auntie Paula. You and Carl can have a conversation. There's a conversation going on here. Yeah, there's lots of different things. There's meditation, there's aromatherapy, there's reflexology. I got a qualification in Reiki, which is really good. That's another relaxation type thing. So it's about you finding what works for you when you're stressed. Just lying on the bed and listening to a wind chime for 5 minutes. There's something about getting out of the mindset that we're in. We don't need to have all the answers. We don't need to work it out. If we're stressed, then move position, get up, go outside, just take a breath, come back in. Sometimes I think part of my story is that everything has to be hard work. It has to be difficult. And if it's quite easy, I'll make it difficult. My son's always saying, stop putting blocks in your way, just do it. Yeah, no, there's something there about my story, which I think I talk about this quite in depth on the delving deeper in anxiety, about our life script and our life story, that we all have one. And at times of stress and overwhelm, we kind of rubber band straight back into it because it's familiar. We know how it works. Um, yeah, which is quite interesting. So, has anybody got any questions on anything? Gratitude and intent was something else that I wanted to talk about. I found talking to myself on the way to Wales while walking helps. I'm not mad, honestly. I do it all the time, Zoe. I think talking to yourself is really healthy. Um, yeah, it sometimes it gets you out of the feeling place and into the conscious thought place, especially when we're feeling overwhelmed. That can be quite helpful. And if it works, then go for it. I'm not going to sit here and say what you should and shouldn't do. It's about finding what works for you when you're feeling like you need that little anchor, something to hang yourself on at times. Need to be calm to control breathing. Yeah, and I think that links in with the breath work, the 7-4-8. Filling up your lungs, and there's also something about emptying them as well. Sometimes when we're taking short breaths to fill our lungs up, we're not actually getting rid of the old stuff, which doesn't help. Yes, gratitude and intent. I'm getting more and more on the side of gratitude. Love a chat with rational me. We all have a rational me. Yeah. It's good. It's good that we're being open and saying it. Sometimes I think we think we're the only ones that think and feel the way that we do, but a lot of us will have similar thoughts and feelings. Obviously, it's our own reality, but we do things that are very similar, and it's about finding out what works and what helps. My daughter and my son-in-law have always done something that at the end of every day they always say, "Tell me 3 good things that have happened today and 3 bad things." And it's just about focusing on the day, which I think is quite nice. I'm looking at doing some sort of a gratitude journal that I think I'm gonna give it out for nothing in the private group. Just 3 things I'm grateful for, thoughts of the day, just basic headings that we can kind of write some things down, because I think even when we've had a really crappy day, there will be things that we're grateful for. And if we focus and we're facing the right way, as in kind of positivity, it's better for us. Yeah, we can feel absolutely crap, but we can look at something positive that's happened, even the smallest, minute little things. Um, yeah, and sometimes they are quite small. I'm laughing because I'm thinking about my son. He's the bane of my life, not the big one that's in here, but the little one. Um, yeah, I'm just constantly getting on at him all the time. But then he will do something like, this is really scraping the barrel. I'm always on at him to put things in the dishwasher. And today he put his plate in the dishwasher, which was brilliant, but he'd left his knife and fork and everything on the side and his cup. So he'd opened the dishwasher, put a plate in, shut it, and left everything else on top. But I can be grateful for the plates that he put in. So yeah, sometimes it's scraping the barrel when we're looking for something positive, but we can teach ourselves to look for positive things in certain situations. I often say about my mum, God love her, she's knocking on a bit now because I am. But when Christmas comes, she don't like Christmas. Christmas is not a good time of year, and she'll start probably around September, October time, and she'll say things like, something bad always happens at Christmas. Yeah, it's not a good time of year, Christmas. And I think it was probably about 2 years ago. I said to her, I said, what's happened? You know, how many bad Christmases have you had? I think she's about 78ish, something like that now. So she's had 78 Christmases. How many bad Christmases have you had, Mum? She said, I can remember this one. And it's like, out of 78 Christmases, you've had one bad one, but yet forever you've had this thought that something bad happens at Christmas. So it's about, I hate Christmas too. I love Christmas. Don't get Zoe started on about Christmas. I shouldn't say that, Zoe. But again, this is a typical example of the three principles in its rawness. It's our thoughts about Christmas. It's not Christmas. It's our thoughts about it that create the feeling. So some people hate it, some people love it. Some people spend all year planning and preparing for it. For other people, there's utter dread about everything to do with it. And that's a brilliant example of how it's our thoughts that create our reality. That's how being a human being works. And my reality and my thoughts will be completely different to everybody else's. And yeah, setting an intent. I've started to do that, and I've been quite surprised at the results. Oh, I'm with you, Kirsty. I love Christmas. I think the older I get, the more I'm loving it too. If we get up in the morning and set an intent for the day, it's kind of like putting it out there. I did it the other week. I'm saying I'm doing it more regularly. It was the other week when I did it. That I wasn't going to be stressed today. That was the intent that I said. I'm not going to be stressed today. And I probably said it, 2 or 3 times as I was in bed before I got up. I'm not going to be stressed today. Today is not going to be stressful. And just kind of repeated it a couple of times. And it actually wasn't stressful. And at the end of the day, I was kind of like, it's a bit magic, that. It was raining. If you're in the private group, you'll know what I'm talking about, because I went for a walk. I said I did a week on mindfulness. So I said I was going to go for a walk and I was going to practice mindfulness and FaceTime it while I was walking. I was pissing it down. I was chucking it down. I had my hood up. I was like a drowned rat and everything. But I went and did it and I wasn't stressed out. It was quite nice. And the rain made the grass smell fresh and everything. And normally I wouldn't react that way. So whether it was just a fluke, I don't know. Whether it was because I set intent, I don't know. And again, I don't need to. I don't need to work everything out. I can just be in the moment. I can go out in the rain and be peed off, or I can go out in the rain and feel okay about it. And that's my choice. So, has anybody got any questions? Tomorrow is the last night that I'm actually doing this, and I'll quite miss it. I've had a couple of people sign up. I tried saying positive things just before bed too, and I was surprised how it worked. Oh, good, it's not just me then. Thank you. There's a book in it. Is it called The Secrets? Where if you ask for a Ferrari, you'll get one. I'm not quite sure about that, but I think if we do put things out there, then we're more likely to get them. I think it's because we're probably looking for it, but we don't need to work out why. If it works, I'm going to run with it. So yeah, I might do over the weekend. I might do a bit of a gratitude journal diary type thing that I can put in the private group. I don't want to put it on this open page, but I'll put it in the private group. So has anybody got any questions or anything or any topics? You're going to miss these lives. They'll still be in the private group. I still pop in there every so often. So as I was saying, there's a couple of people that have signed up for the Deeping Delver on anxiety, which I am really, really grateful for. The other thing that I'm looking into doing is setting up a membership club. Oh, Gemma, thank you. I need to come and meet your horses, your ponies. There will be a fee for it. But again, it will be this sort of thing. I'm really conscious of the fact that people can't always afford to pay for a therapist or coach. You've signed up for my new course. I know. I've set up the Facebook page. I'll be inviting you over the weekend into the Facebook page, and then we'll crack on with the Zoom calls. So yeah, there will be a membership, and I'm not sure whether my son. I don't know whether Carl's still watching this. Whether I should say this or not, but we're thinking of doing something that if you buy the course, as in the live course, then you get a month of free membership in my private members club as well, and you get loads of stuff. I shouldn't say that because we're kind of supposed to be keeping it a secret, but the membership club is, I think it's going to launch on the 1st of September after I've done a month with the Delving Deeper on Anxiety course. Anytime we're in Cornwall. It's not bloody anytime then, it'll take me a week to get there. Just hearing your voice tonight and answering my questions, you've made me feel a little at ease. Oh, good. Missing you guys and bands. I love routine and it's gone out the window for the unforeseeable. Yeah, it's been a pretty pants time. For those of you who don't know, me and Zoe are both banding parents. Both our boys playing a brass band, which I love. And I don't know whether I've mentioned it in this or another group. Gemma's laughing. I'm not sure what you're laughing at. I know that sounds really good. Hopefully it will be good, Kirsty, she says. See, Carl's put, I shouldn't, don't say anything. I'm not supposed to say it. But yeah, there's loads of stuff in there. But yeah, having routine is a big thing for a lot of people, and I think we've all lost our routine. Everything's changed. I'm still dubious whether the kids are going to go back to school in September. The way that things are on the news at the moment, I don't know. But I'm not worried. I think that's the thing that's kind of surprising me. I'm kind of in that place now where, yeah, there's no point planning because things change, shit happens. So yes, if there is anything that you want me to cover tomorrow, I'm just looking at my list and seeing if there's anything else that, or if you like reading, this is a book that I would strongly recommend. It's on Amazon and I don't think it's that expensive because I don't buy expensive books. It's called The Enlightened Gardener. This is a revisited one. Sydney Banks is the chap that came up with the 3 principles, and this book is a lovely story about a gardener, and it explores and explains the 3 principles in a lovely way. And I've read this probably about 6 times, and every time I read it I get something else from it. It's kind of like I'm just looking. If I hold that up there, you might be able to pause it on replay and see what it actually, I'm rubbish at doing this, what it actually says. But it says that much. It weren't that much on Amazon. And if you want to know any more about the 3 principles, and I do say to people, don't Google it, but Google Sydney Banks. Go back to the source. If you go on YouTube There's some really old 70s lectures that he did, and he's just very calming. He talks with a Scottish accent, and I just find him very calming. But yeah, have a look. There's lots of things around the three principles that you can find on YouTube videos you can watch. So have a look, see at that. If there's anything that you want me to cover tomorrow, then just message me and let me know. Other than that, I'll probably just wing it. That sounds awful, doesn't it? I don't wing it on my courses. I'm a lot more organised. But yeah, I'll plan something and I will post it in here again so you know what's happening. So thank you so much for your comments and your posts. And I'll be a little bit sad tomorrow. But never mind. Right, I'm going. I shall speak to you all soon. Take care. Bye.